It is time for Corners of the Internet, and today I am honored to be joined by the one, well, maybe the second and not the only other Penguini. Or maybe I'm the other Penguini, who knows? Welcome.
Well, I mean, you probably made the name before me.
Quite possibly. Maybe that could be the first question. Well, first of all, how are you doing today?
I'm doing phenomenal. How are you doing today?
I am doing great. I'm happy to be here. Yeah, actually, I am actually interested, so I am going to go ahead and make this the first question now. When did you come up with your username Penguini? And we'll see who has the other beat.
Okay, that is a great question. I actually don't remember what year it was. I think it was like probably 2021, maybe 2022. I never really settled on any username for anything. Every time I made an account or started playing a game, I would just use whatever I felt like that day.
Right.
And then one day, I don't know if I had like linguini that day or what, but it just rolled right off the tongue, and I decided Penguini. And then I've gotten like so many compliments on the name since then, so it just completely stuck from there.
That's what's crazy is you and I had the same exact thought at two entirely different points in our lives. I was
Really?
7 years old and I liked drawing made up Pokemon. And you know those noodle hair penguins. So I think you can imagine where Penguini came from there. But hey, a similar inspiration for a similar username. That's super funny.
It was a great choice. It was a great choice.
And a great choice for you as well. Well, I think a good place to start beyond just the username would be for you to introduce yourself a little bit and, you know, what you do with your channel and whatnot.
Well, yeah, so I am Penguini. I've been a TikToker since early 2023, and more recently a YouTuber since mid 2024. So I've been doing YouTube for about a year now, and I've been doing TikTok for about 2 years. And I do content mostly on the Nintendo Wii. I mostly just try to try to bring back that nostalgia for the console and just answer a lot of questions that I had as a kid playing the console. But now that I'm just better at games, I'm more so able to answer them.
Absolutely, and I think you there's a lot to go off of from that point. I guess I'll start with a little bit of an anecdote, which is how I found your channel, because I think it's just so rare to find someone with the same username as the other person, and it's the whole sort of thing that caused me wanting to do this interview. Because I first found your channel actually on YouTube. I wasn't even aware of the fact that you did anything on TikTok until I dived in to doing a little bit of research specifically for the interview. But I think I saw your first short, but I didn't even see the username until the second time around. And I commented, and then since then I've been following you, and yeah, big fan of all the content and all the stuff with the Wii. I think you're right. I think a large part of the appeal is the nostalgia for a lot of people our age, and it's super fun to see. And you answer a lot of just like fun, quirky questions with your content. It's super cool. Where I want to go from there is actually talking about the TikTok, because that is one thing I tried to look at, like your very first things, and I am happy to hear that that was sort of your forced foray, if you will, into making videos. I did notice your channel is a few years older, but maybe you just weren't posting anything and it was just like a standard YouTube account.
Yeah, so that's actually funny that you asked that. So this YouTube account I've had for quite a few years now, and originally I was going to post content on Rocket League Sideswipe. Like right when it first came out, I got super into the game, and I was like, I'm going to make some content. And I never did. So I just had the account, and I just left it there, and then one day I decided to turn it into this one because the account was already a few years old. I don't know, to give it some more extra credibility, I guess.
Yeah,
And so I
yeah.
repurposed it.
That makes perfect sense. And actually, I was gonna get into the whole TikTok thing, but I have another question to ask before we do. When you did finally start making content, like what was the spark? Because you just said you were gonna do Rocket League stuff, but then just never got around to it. what was sort of like the light bulb moment of like the Rocket League thing you were like, I'm gonna do, and then just never got around to it. But what was the thing that made you say like, oh, I have this idea and I really want to follow through with this and like make this a thing?
Yeah, that's a great question. Around like every Christmas holiday, like I go home, I visit my parents, but there's a lot of downtime. And
Sure.
so pretty much every year I give myself just a video game like challenge or a project to do. And so this time around it was like getting Dolphin Emulator all set up and just playing through a bunch of old Wii games and things like that. And I got like super into it for like the week of Christmas. Just a little bit after that I was like, I still have some time and I've always wanted to post content on something. And this I feel like is something that I'm pretty knowledgeable about. So I just recorded a clip of me playing Mario Kart with this mod that lets me drive anywhere in the game. And that just like completely took off.
Heck,
Like far exceeded any expectations I had for it. Like I remember like waking up the next morning and it had like 100,000 views and that just like blew my mind.
absolutely,
And then
yeah.
I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna make a bunch more of this. And so I did. I posted like 4 or 5 more every single day. And then I started work. I used to work at Target. This is where I worked at the time.
Gotcha.
And so before my shift, I would wake up early, post a few videos, and then I would go to work and see how they did when I got back. And it just kept growing and growing from there.
Heck yeah. If I remember correctly, I believe in particular, the first TikTok, at least that I saw, maybe you have ones that are unlisted. If I remember correctly, the first one was getting on the egg in Yoshi Falls, or am I wrong?
Exactly.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I did have one video before that that I took down. The my very first video, like of all time, was I changed the loading screen for the Wii. I changed that to look like Windows XP,
Gotcha.
and that was my first video. I didn't know how to do any of the editing or anything, so it completely flopped. But then I was like, okay, I'm gonna make a real video now, and that's when I made the Mario Kart one.
Yeah. And I think, yeah, you definitely hit an audience with that one.
Yeah, definitely.
Here's another question. Because I know now that you mainly do videos on like answering questions about different Wii games, typically games that are exclusive to Wii, so like a lot of the Nintendo first party games, especially like the sort of Wii series, Wii Sports, Wii Party, and all of those. I did notice that on your TikTok, you had a couple other series that maybe the good way to put it is that you like experimented with before you sort of found your groove. At least it seems you found your groove with these like answering question things. I wanted to see if you remember what they are. There's two series that I have listed here. What they are without me prompting you, or what you think I might think they are.
Okay, that is a good question. And you said it wasn't specific to the Wii. Honestly, I cannot think of what you're talking about. But I
Okay.
bet as soon as you start saying, it, I'll know exactly what you mean.
Okay, the first one that I saw, I think it was about maybe 15 to 20 videos long, was creepy anti-piracy screens.
Oh yeah. That one, what I would do is I would just find the best like anti-piracy screens that I found. I would take them from YouTube and post them on TikTok. That I'm not too proud of doing myself. During around this period, it was when I was in a bad phase in my like creator cycle, I would say. So I'd re-upload a lot of content from YouTube. I would tweak it in certain ways to make it fit better into like a short form content.
Sure.
But still, pretty quickly after I started that, I was like, it's probably not the best direction for my channel. So then I decided to switch it up more into other things.
Yeah, you know what? And honestly, I think that's fair. And it's worth talking about. Like, obviously, it's not me bringing that up is in no way meant to be sort of like a dig at you or anything. But I think it's kind of a good point. I think a lot of people early on when you're making videos and stuff stumbles across things where they're like, I'll try this out. And then you're like, I'd rather get rid of it. Right. Everyone has those moments. But they jumped out at me just because I hate those empty piracy things so much. For some reason, it's just one of those things, something inside me. It reminds me of like the emergency service announcements on TV and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
the other one was, and I don't know, they weren't, it wasn't a series as in it was numbered. I just saw there were a ton of them. But they all had the same caption that started POV, it's 2010. Um,
Yep. No, that's what I feel like really put me on the map as
sure.
far as TikTok goes. I don't know. Over the course of me posting videos, I've tried to figure out the quickest hook that I can make for any given topic.
Right.
So what I'm doing right now is I use the word usually to start whatever video because that's a one word hook and it usually like interests viewers. But
Hmm.
back then, I would just have a caption that said POV it's 2010. So instantly people think how old they were when they were 2010 or when it was 2010 and instantly they know exactly what mindset to go into in watching the video.
Yeah.
That's what I was kind of doing with that and it just really took off. I did probably 500 videos with that caption. So
Yeah, I do remember. I mean, I scrolled for a while when I was looking through the TikTok, and I was like, yeah, I mean, hey, honestly, if it ain't broke, right? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And it does a great job of working in that nostalgia factor. So it's like the childhood, and everyone, the Wii was the big thing, right? Everyone, I think, went through a very similar experience, at least in the U.S. and whatnot. I have some dumb questions that now I'm like, I actually don't care to ask them. Um,
fair enough.
Actually, I might ask this one anyways. I think it's particularly funny. Why do you have four hamburger Miis? Why not more? Why not less? And why do you feel the need to specify?
Oh, okay. So when I first started posting Wii Party content, I thought it would be funny if I made all of the Miis in all of the videos just hamburgers. So I actually have more. I have like seven.
Oh,
But a lot of people were like, "Are you stealing clips from Poofesher? Like, what's going on here?" So I just put that in there. I was like, to clarify, I have four hamburger Miis. This is my own stuff. So
gotcha.
that's why I put that there. And then even now that I don't really do that much Wii Party content specifically with like the mini games and stuff like I used to,
Right.
I just kept it there because I thought it was funny.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely. Okay, yeah, sure. We'll stick with the theme of just sillier questions. I am curious as to which came first in terms of your username because I notice like your display name is Penguini with the E at the end. Your handle is PENG dash WII dash knee KNEE. Is there a reason you have both? Is there one you like prefer over the other but couldn't get the other? The we thing ties in clearly. I'm curious which one came first.
Yeah, so just the Penguin IE was the first one because that was before I was even making Wii content. And
Sure.
then when I decided to eventually make the Wii TikTok, I realized that it has the word Wii in it. And I was like, "Oh, this is great." And a lot of people like pronounce Penguini wrong when they first read it. And so I was like, if I just make it so it's exactly how it sounds, it's the perfect pronunciation, just Penguini, everyone's gonna get it. And I thought it was kind of funny, and I just left it there, and I've gotten multiple compliments. So I was like, I guess that was the right choice.
Yeah, actually, uh, something that only you and I can relate to is the fact that people will pronounce it wrong. Penguin eye and
Yeah, I get that
stuff
one
like
a
that.
lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a lot about the content and the Wii stuff, but people, are a lot more than just the content. So, if you may, tell me a little bit more about maybe some other creative endeavors that you might have. Maybe
Yeah.
that's a big
So
question.
before it is kind of a big question, but I actually feel like I have a pretty good answer.
Cool.
So ever since I was like a little kid, like probably 5 or 6 years old, I've been playing the piano.
Hey.
Um, and pretty quickly I realized that I don't like reading sheet music. I don't like learning in that traditional method. So instead, I decided to just make my own songs. And so I would just improvise piano songs all the time. And by the time that I like started graduating high school, that was really all I did with the piano. I stopped reading music really entirely and just focused on that. I would like enter the school talent show and just show up with nothing prepared and just play a song and see if I could win. Just things like that. Um, and so before I even started the Wii content, I tried creating a TikTok for piano content, but
Oh,
I knew absolutely nothing about making content. Completely failed. Deleted the account. And I actually do have a piano account now, but I post whatever on there. I don't really try to make it go viral. It's just if I sit down and I feel like playing the piano, I'll record it and put it on there.
yeah, for sure. I'm realizing as we go through this that you and I have more and mores in common than I first realized. Anything else? I'm thinking of things along similar lines, and maybe these are things you've never even bothered going into. But like other performance related things like theater or even stuff with like other video games. What kind of games are you interested in outside of the Wii stuff? Things like that. Like what are some other interests there?
Yeah, I've never in high school and other things, I took like 1 year of choir. Wasn't really my thing. I've tried a couple other different things, but I really just stuck with the music, and just piano specifically. And like what you were saying with the video games thing is if I was to like kind of can branch this out a little bit from just the Wii, I want to make some content on the Switch too.
Ooh.
I think that would be kind of fun when that comes out. Not sure exactly what I'll do with that or where I'll go with that. Um, but I don't know. I think that would be fun, and then I'd switch my name on a second account to be Switch Toony or something.
Switch
I
Toony.
don't know,
Actually,
something
wait,
like that.
wait a minute. There's something to that. I have to give that to you. Switch Toony is a pretty good is a pretty good username.
Yeah,
Um,
so we'll see if that gets stolen before I get around to that.
hey, I'll tune
I'll
in.
see.
um, Tell me a little bit about the community that you have on your YouTube channel and on your TikTok. And there's two sides of it. I'm interested in both the community that you feel like you have right now, but also the type of maybe culture is the right word, the type of culture that you're trying to foster in your YouTube slash Twitch community that you have.
Yeah, so community was actually one of the main reasons that I switched from TikTok to YouTube. Because on TikTok, when you post a video, you have no idea who this video is going to.
Right.
Just because someone is following you doesn't necessarily mean that those are the people going to watch your content. And so originally to kind of build that sense of community, I wasn't sure what I wanted my community to look like yet, but I started live streaming on TikTok. And that way, like, you get a lot of repeat viewers. You get a lot of the same people tuning in every day at the same time, and you get to know them. And that's what really got me thinking, like, hey, maybe I want to do more stuff with communities. I had a Discord server, but I didn't really do anything with it until very recently. But I kept going with the live streams until, let's see, I think it was May or June of 2024 that I started YouTube. And I decided that I wanted to make like a group of people that appreciated Wii games as much as I did. And around this time is when I started kind of what my current series is, where I answer questions about video games, specifically Wii ones, that everyone had when they were like 6 or 7 years old. And so now people, they send me questions, they'll ask questions in the comments, they'll talk about different things in the server. Like a lot of people just ask great questions. And so now it's getting to the point where people have these discussions and people interact with each other without me even being a part of it.
Yeah.
And that I think is super cool. I just want like to have a group of people that just appreciate this as much as I do, have that same nostalgia without really toxicity.
For sure, absolutely. Yeah. I think that's such like an important thing, and I think it's very obvious. You know, you go on YouTube or any platform where people can post their own videos and whatnot. And I think it's very obvious. You can almost tell right away who are the people that are like trying to foster a community and who are the people that are just trying to get likes, right? And I feel like it was one of those things very early on when I saw your stuff that it very much had, I mean, you could call it like cozy vibes or whatever, but I feel like you in your, maybe it's your presentation, or maybe just in how you reply to comments and the comments that you get and stuff, it felt to me that right away there was like a very strong sense of community. And then when I went on your channel, I saw like your community tab on your channel. Like there's so much stuff, and you've got the Discord, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe there's like kind of community events that happen in your Discord sometime, like community run as well, like people kind of just like hosting their own events. Is that right?
Yeah, no, we haven't done that many events in the Discord server yet, but pretty much every day, if you look in the server, there's like 3 to 6 people playing a game together or just talking. Like there's always stuff going on, and my community earlier this week held like a movie night.
I think that's
I
what I
I wasn't
saw.
even a part of that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but like people are very like they're all good friends there and they all want to do things with each other, and sometimes it's we related and sometimes it's not. So it's really nice to see.
Yeah, and I definitely just sort of speaking on the very last bit that you said there, like where you're like sometimes it's we related and sometimes it's not. It's like your community does not necessarily have to be directly tied to the stuff you're doing. Sometimes it's just people who have shared interests, but people who have shared interests in one category aren't necessarily going to have that as their only interest, and not sort of gatekeeping and being like, hey, this is the we spot, and if you're not here for we, get out of here, right? Just having just like an open kind of community, open forum for like-minded people. It's super fun to see.
Yeah, I agree.
I've run out of questions on on my little list of questions here. Do you have anything that comes to mind, like just over the course of the discussion, that is something that you feel is maybe like an important value, or like a tenet of your channel that you feel is worth emphasizing?
Yeah, I guess there is one thing, like I guess if someone else wants to make content in kind of a similar vein as to what I'm doing, I kind of have 2 questions that I ask myself each time right before making a video. One is like, is this something that people have seen before? Because like my content is supposed to be nostalgic, so I want something that people have seen, but it's been a long time.
Sure.
Um, and based on that, I try to make a little twist as well. I found that content that is just strictly nostalgic, it's just like in memory of the Wii era, it
Mhm.
does well. But when it has like some little twist with it. So a common way that I do that is like I do a test in a Wii game. Like today's post, for example,
Mhm.
was about getting crushed by the boxes in Mario Bros. Wii. So there's these like heavy metal boxes that come and crush Mario.
Mhm.
And if you've played the game for like start to finish, you know about these boxes. But I wanted to know what happens if you hack Yoshi into the game. So it offers that twist, and like, does Yoshi get crushed? What happens to Yoshi?
Right.
So if you want the most successful content with that, if you want the most engaging, the most interesting, it's you twist the two together. Or you just blend the two together.
Yeah.
If anyone wanted to do more stuff like that.
I think that's actually a super novel, I guess maybe novel is a good word to use there, approach to making the content, because I think anyone who's seen videos from a lot of big content creators talking about, how to get successful and whatever, for whatever those types of videos are actually worth, the thing you will hear again and again is like, you got to do something that nobody else is doing, or like you've got to give the audience something they've never seen before. And it's like, well, I kind of agree with you. It's like, well, that's not necessarily true. Your approach is, you could say it's novel, but it's also in a way genuine, because you're not presenting people with like stuff they've never thought of, but you're presenting them with stuff that maybe they have thought of but haven't seen been answered. Right? It's like, well, I have this
Exactly.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like that's maybe even potentially a more genuine approach than show people something they've never thought of before. Is, well, hey, let's take something that people have thought of and things that people care about deeply, and let's put a spin on them and like see what the results are. Yeah, that's super cool. This is my last question that I have on my notes here. but it could potentially spur into another conversation. It may not, and that's absolutely fine either way. But my last question for you is, if you had like all of the budget and all of the resources and full creative control, so truly the sky's the limit, what would be the creative endeavor that you would like to pursue? It's a
Ooh.
big question.
Like content wise or just like anything?
Let's say anything. I mean, if it's a creative endeavor in one way or another, I feel like it's shared with the world, right? Content maybe is the best thing, but like it doesn't have to be restricted to YouTube or video media or anything. If your answer is like a live show or something, that's perfectly reasonable. But it's like unlimited budget, unlimited resource, sky is the limit. What would be, let's say, your creative gift to the world?
I mean, I'm assuming the unlimited time is one of those as well.
Okay, yeah,
But
sure.
like I I have like a fascination with just like really interesting musical instruments.
Hmm.
Um like I've seen videos of people like learning these crazy instruments from all over the world and like putting them all together to make a song. And I think something like that would be really cool. So if I just like unlimited time, money, and skills, obviously I would need to learn all these instruments. I would love to just create a song with instruments all over the world, but I record each instrument in the location that it was like founded, I guess. I think that would
Wow.
be really cool.
That is not only personally do I think that is incredibly cool. Um, I think that's also incredibly insightful about your character. I feel like I won't even ask any other questions because I think that is just like maybe the most perfect answer I could have imagined for that question. And while I definitely could, I have definitely a ton of questions that I think I could follow up from there. I think just the idea speaks volumes. I think it's great. I think we're about ready to wrap up. Is there any last words that you would like to say to anybody who might be watching?
I guess just don't be afraid to make content about any topic. Just go for it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Just because one video doesn't do super well, or the first 10 or first 100, that doesn't mean anything. And just for reference, when I started YouTube, I was doing the YouTube shorts, I still am.
Hmm.
But even with all the skills and knowledge that I had from TikTok, the first few videos that I was posting were getting like 2, 10, maybe 15 views. And then randomly, they all started getting 100,000. So it can really just be an overnight difference. So just don't give up, even if it's not going super well right now.
For sure. I'm in absolute agreement with you. I feel like it's very much a case of do what you love, and the people who share those interests will follow.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you again for joining me for the interview, for being the first person ever who I've interviewed. I hope you enjoyed your time here. And yeah, that's it.
All right. Yeah, that was awesome.
All right.
It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm happy to hear that. All right. So, to the people on YouTube, thank you all very much for watching, and tune in next time to see who I interview next. I don't know who it's going to be, but we'll find out together. All right. See ya.